get it poppin'. Welcome to episode 91 of the Slip and Weed podcast. I'm here with Mikey the Bull Portalis. Mikey, thank you so much for coming on today.
Oh, thanks for having me, man.
So listen, like you were saying before, we got connected through a mutual friend, Manuel Tino Avila. Big fan of Tino. He gave me a little bit of backstory on you, but just go ahead, introduce yourself, let everybody know who you are, accolades, accomplishments, all that.
Let's see. Well, I'm Michael Portalis. My ring name, Mikey the Bull. Everybody calls me Mikey. Accomplishments. I guess I am a professional boxer. That's probably one of my biggest accomplishments. And another really big one is my weight loss journey that I went from. I went from 312 pounds to 140, and turned a pro along the way. That's kind of like my biggest life accomplishment. The only important one, actually.
Bro, that's a massive accomplishment, not even just like in a sports way, but for like your health. How that
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever heard of that, of somebody in boxing getting up that high in weight and then coming down as low as you've come, basically losing more than half your weight. I have a buddy that started at
Yeah.
190
Yeah.
and fights at 130 now, but that's much less. Like, were you boxing before you started this journey? Did you find boxing and then started losing weight? Walk me through how that came about.
No, so pretty much I was just kind of like, before boxing, I was pretty much a loser, like I couldn't stop going back and forth to jail, couldn't really hold down a job. I had no, like, I never really did anything, like, my dad kept me out of really going to jail for a long time, like doing anything serious, but I was just kind of in and out, so that's pretty much my life before. And then I got really fat. And my dad, he's always like, hey, he's real big into boxing and bodybuilding. So first we tried bodybuilding. He would always tell me, like, we need to, you're fat, dude. You need to do something about that. Long story short, and I would just kind of brush him off, and finally I was like, all right, let's do this. Let's not be fat anymore.
So how old are you
And
when that part of it starts?
so that's when I was about 22 that I finally like conceded into like exercising, like 22, 23, about there. And then I started training. We started doing like we just started like lifting weights and stuff, stuff like that, because he's like I said, he's into bodybuilding and boxing. And then we started doing a little bit of boxing as cardio, because he was a boxer himself. And then I kind of caught on to it. I kind of caught on to the way he was teaching me. All right, let's do some sparring. Why not? You know. And I was like, yeah, who cares? I've been training to spar. I would happily spar somebody, of the similar, with some similar experience, some similar training, And that's when we found out I could fight. So we gave up the bodybuilding dream and we were like, all right, let's see how far we could take this. And at that point in time, I was still very fat. I was like 280 pounds, maybe 290 pounds by the time I started like boxing. By the time I figured myself out in my fitness journey.
So you're at 280 pounds. You're 22 years old. What's walk me through the next part of that now, where you get down to junior welterweight. You're sparring with Tino. You're sparring with all these different guys. You're fighting professionally. How does that part of the journey take place?
Okay, so all right, so this is how it happened. We went into a UFC gym. This is how it all started. We went into a UFC gym to spar with these guys who, like, the actual brand UFC. They have gyms and stuff, I guess, over here in California. It was one in Sunnyvale specifically. We went to go spar this guy that was just randomly like talking crap. So he was on Instagram. We posted a video, and then the dude was kind of just like, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking." He was actually the guy's coach, believe it or not. He was like, "You don't know what you're doing." I know how to train guys, and this guy's too. Dude, he just started saying a bunch of nonsense. So we went there, we sparred him, and then this is in the middle of COVID too. So there's not really a lot of people, not really a lot of exposure. We didn't really know how good I was or how good I could be or anything. And then we started sparring at we just started going from gym to gym when stuff started opening again. Uh, on doing good and sparring, and then we stepped it up, and then I started getting in there with some good guys, and at first, obviously, I was getting beat up, and I would get beat up a lot at this gym. Eventually, if you stick to it and you keep and you listen to your coach, you'll get beat up a little bit less every time. And then I got an opportunity to go pro in Colombia to have my pro license in to have my pro debut in Colombia, and I was a little nervous about getting on a plane for the first time, and but I did it, and we went, and I got the win. It was and then we went again, and I'm on my fourth fight now.
How did you
Yeah, I
figure
just
out?
finished my fourth fight.
Because if you're starting from a weight that high, right? Like, how did you figure out what your fighting weight was, and did you start?
Oh, dude, that's the beauty of it. Actually, we have no idea. I started at 154. That was my first fight, 154, and then my second one was 147, and then 145. Oh no, 145, then 143, and 140, and we're just kind of gradually. I'm everyone's offering fights, so and I'm just taking them
So you feel
at all
like
these weird catch weights.
you feel like you haven't even hit the bottom of where you could get to.
Oh no, definitely not. I think I'm probably gonna I think I don't know, this might be wishful thinking, but I think I might end up around like 126 or 128. Somewhere along the lines of that. Maybe, hopefully. I don't
Has
know if that's wishful thinking, but I've never been this small, so I wouldn't know.
has there ever been like a difference in your power, or do you feel like it's changing how you fight the more you? I mean, I'm sure it has to, right?
Yeah, so well, according to my dad, I'm gonna recite from my dad and my sparring partners and all of that, because that's kind of who you really get a good. Well, that's how I got a notice of how good my power was. But everybody said that's kind of like my gimmick, is that I hit kind of hard. That's what keeps me in the fight, is that I got a hard right hand. That's my whole that's like half my show pretty much. And my dad tells me that I have a weird case, as I'm going down in weight, I'm actually starting to hit harder, which is really not the case for pretty much anybody. I mean, anybody that I've heard of specifically, and
Well, I'm sure like
anybody.
the way you prepare must be different too, because a lot of these guys walk around at a certain weight and then they cut 20, 30 pounds of water, whereas you're just in this process, this weight loss process where you're just figuring out where you kind of sit physically. So you're not having to worry about cutting weight or anything.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. Just like everything else, I'm kind of learning on the job. I started real late. A lot of these guys have been doing it their whole lives, and then I just picked. I just got the job. I'm learning on the job, so that's also a big factor of it. Knowing where you could be at and how strong you could be there. That's definitely an advantage point to have. Just that knowledge.
Well, I was watching your fight, I think, against Perez, the one you sent me. And you got some of the boxing intangibles. Like you got some nice footwork, you know how to create angles, you got some nice combinations. Did all of
Thank
this
you.
shit just kind of come natural to you? Like did you once you
Oh
found
no,
it?
no, it's how we train. So like I said, we started in COVID, and my dad was the one training me, and all we had was a really we had an avocado. We have three trees in the backyard. We have a persimmon tree and an avocado tree and another persimmon tree. And we started hanging heavy bags out of these trees. And this, where I honestly believe I got my footwork from, came from because like you know, when I tell you I went from 310, 312 to 140, like I trained like a dog. I was in there. I was like the postman. Rain, snow, or shine, I was out there. And I picked up these habits in when it was raining, and I would go outside and hit the heavy bag, and I would just strap on boots because I would muddy up all my my leg, my shoes. You know, I'd really. So I went to the thrift store. I got some boots, solved that problem, got back to work, and while you're slipping and sliding, you're learning how to sit down on punches while you're slipping and sliding, and it's raining, it's cold. You know, and I have my dad right here next to me telling me what to do. So I'm picking up all these habits and stuff, and I feel like that's where my footwork came from. All these good habits, of course. At least my opinion of them.
That's such a wild story to me, bro. So did you feel like when you found boxing that it just, it found a like that discipline? What did that discipline do for you? You just find a way to channel that energy, or what inspired you to kind of just go at this so hard where you've lost,
My
180 pounds?
My dad was my inspiration the whole time. He never left my side. He never gave up on me, dude. I don't know what I would have done if I wouldn't have, and he's not even my biological father. He's my foster dad, and he loves me just like any of the other ones, and he wanted the best for me, and he pushed me, and he was there for me, and he was there in my ear. It's like it's hard to ignore. It's hard to ignore somebody telling you the ugly truth that you don't want to hear, but you need to hear every day,
But
and then continue on the same path.
and did you feel like once you got that push, like you had that drive and you had that passion to do it?
Oh yeah, yeah. He definitely filled my gas tank, but I drove the car. You know, it was in there. It was in there. Just was never. It wasn't never focused in the right direction. He really guided me. He really guided me to go to take all this energy that I had and focus it on something good. Stop going to jail. Stop being a loser. And we found out I can fight.
It's a real crazy story, bro. How did you come to be sparring with Tino?
How did I? Okay, so there's this Benjamin's boxing gym. It's out in San Ramon. It's pretty much by and it's in California, mid Central California, or we would call it Northern California, the Bay Area. Um, and the owner of the gym is also my manager and second coach. So I train there a lot. He has an open sparring. He has so a lot of guys come in from all over the place, and it's a real nice gym and a real nice area. So all these other gyms, if they're gonna meet up for sparring, they would like to meet up there more often than not, because it's like there's a lot of good gyms. It just this happens to be a really good gym in a really good area. There's a lot of good gyms around here though. But so everybody comes here, open sparring on Wednesdays, and I met Tino, and I knew I recognized him. I had seen him on the Zone or something like years and years ago, and or not the Zone. I knew I seen him somewhere, and what it was that I watched one of his fights like a long time ago, and I just kind of like had that weird like memory, like you got like weird memory, like weird pockets in your memory for random
Yeah, like
stuff,
you'll
like
you'll
random
you'll
song
see
lyrics
somebody,
or
you'll see somebody and you don't recognize them, but then the next day you remember the
something.
context, like, oh yeah, I met
Yeah,
them. Yeah.
dude, I know, and I think I watched one of his fights on the undercard or somebody a long time ago, but he ended up being a real cool dude. We talk, we text. He's real cool. He's real down to earth, and he's real he's really good, dude. So him just and me sparring with him or training alongside of him, dude, he's on a different level. So me being with him, it's gonna sharpen me up and make my skill a little bit better as well.
I mean, I'm wondering just because you're in it, right? So it's your normal day to day, but do you see or do you appreciate, I guess, like that you're kind of on a fast track in a lot of ways? Like a lot of people don't start where you're at in the condition that they're in, and then 3 years later you're sparring with a guy who a couple of years ago was like a legitimate contender at his weight.
Dude, I just you just gotta. Well, I all I did was I got after it. I got up and I got after it. I was training and nothing else, man. I could have had blinders on. The world could have been falling apart. I had no other focus but to train and try to be the best I could. And my dad, obviously being the got me towards what I don't know, helping me out with being the best I could. It made me the best I could be, and I can kind of hold my way in there with some of these guys.
What would you say to a kid or a young man or anybody that is overweight and is maybe even being like discouraged from being in sports because of their weight? Like what would you say to them to motivate them, or what your keys to that are? Because I mean, you make it sound simple, but there's nothing simple about what you've done here.
Yeah, it's hard work, dude. I actually get this question a lot. Like people will come up to me that I get so many on the internet, and like like I have people that come up to me that I never met before that they just recognize me from being really fat and then losing. Dude, there's you just got to get moving. You just got to get moving. You got to get out there. You have to get moving. What I would tell a kid or a person or individual who's overweight and wants to do something, I would tell them get moving. You can't start to formulate a plan while sitting down, right? And then once you start physically moving, mentally moving, then different like you'll want to eat better, right? You'll run a mile and then you'll come home and you'll be like, man, I don't want to eat this cheeseburger. I just ran a mile, like I'm gonna undo everything I just did. And once you can start thinking like that's the first step. That's the first. Then you can start picking what you want to do, right? Like if you want to I can compare it to something like going to college. Well, what I would do if I went to college is I wouldn't take any of my majors first, right? I would take the like the prerequisites and all the stuff that you would need to take anyways. Get moving, and then later on you can kind of choose what you want to do. I wanted to be a bodybuilder. That's how this whole thing started. I wanted to be one of those buff dudes, and it was either like something like a strongman. I wanted to do some of those strongman competitions, or that was my plan in my head. Obviously, I didn't even make it like a quarter of the way that I need, like not even an eighth of the way before we found out, boxing was my true calling. Boxing is, so I would say just get moving, get moving, and then you can start to choose what you want to do.
It's a super inspiring story, bro. I mean, I've never really heard anything like it.
Neither have I. Neither have I. I didn't think it was possible. I would have never guessed in a million years that I would be. When I actually first started boxing, I thought like started boxing seriously. That like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. This is what I want to do from now on, dude. I thought I was gonna fight in shape, rippling abs. Like I thought I was gonna be like 175 pounds. I had no idea. Like 175 to 185. I had no idea I was going to make it to one day. I weighed in at my last fight at 138.
How did you feel at that weight?
I felt good. I felt, I was the same size as all the other guys that were, I wasn't bad, dude. I felt strong. I felt like that was a good weight for me. Maybe I don't think I'll go that much lower. Maybe 130 or 128, maybe, maybe.
So, can I ask you about your last fight?
Yeah. Oh yeah. The last fight wasn't the Hector Perez. I fought a Greek guy, Giannis is his name.
That was on the Andy Vences undercard, right?
Yes, that was on the Andy Vincent undercard.
Can you walk me through kind of how that fight went down?
Yeah, I lost that one, but it was a real good lesson. I just lost to that guy was good. That guy was a lot better than we expected. Um, I had a lot of mistakes, and he capitalized on them. So I think the referee called it way too early, but I don't think I was winning on the scorecards. And I was definitely not winning on the scorecards. But the referee um called it as a TKO stoppage, like just before the bell rang, and I don't know why the guy threw like a fury of punches, and I was kind of just up under them. I didn't, maybe it was just my posture, so I don't know, but I don't think I was gonna win that fight anyways. The I would definitely have myself losing on the scorecards.
Well, I mean, listen, bro, that's just one of the lessons of boxing, right? And I'm guessing you didn't
Yeah,
have
you win some, you
super,
lose some.
and I'm gonna go ahead and guess you didn't have like a super long amateur career. So this
Oh
is
yeah, I actually have no amateur career. I skipped that sucker altogether.
yeah, bro. So you're skipping all kinds of steps. So there's gonna be those kinds of lessons, you know what I mean, as you
Hey,
go.
I gotta learn those lessons. I gotta go learn those lessons on the job. Fortunately.
What was it like being on a card with some of those big names from your area? There's Andy, there's Ronald Gavril.
Oh, dude, it was crazy, and I love meeting fighters. I honestly love meeting fighters. But there was like yeah, at some of my other fights, um, I met like all these Casa Mayor. I met like all these people that I like Eli Sexback. All these people that I was like see on TV. And then they're in front of me like, oh, like I love meeting fighters. I don't want to discredit none of that. But it's super cool when you meet like some of these random people like I don't know, maybe that's just me. But I mean meeting fighters to me is super cool too. I don't
Yeah,
want to take nothing away from them, but some of these other people like you just meet like cool people.
yeah. That was a pretty big card in your area, I know.
Yeah, I fought what's his name? Evander Holyfield's son fought there. He won. I actually watched his fight. He was yeah. Vander Holyfield's son was there, and Andy Benson. They even fought for a WBC belt, Continental belt, I think it was. It was a good show, good card.
So when you're getting offered fights, are promoters because you've just progressively lost, more and more weight?
No,
Are
so promoters.
promoters hitting you up and like, hey, you want to fight at lightweight, and you want to fight at junior middleweight? Like how are you putting that together as you pick your fights out? Are you just taking what's
Okay,
available and saying, oh, I can make that weight?
yeah. A lot of these guys, not everybody, but a lot of these guys really are like real picky and choosy about like, oh, I don't want to fight him, or oh, we need 6 weeks, or like they want they're picking and choosy about who they want to fight, or they want long training camps, like a lot of not everybody, but a lot of these guys, and I say yes to everything. Like, yep, you need me there? Yep, yep, yep. I need my dad and actually Ali my dad and my manager they had to intervene because I was just saying yes to everything. Yeah, come on, let's do it, let's go. Yep, yep, signing contracts. I actually got in trouble because I didn't know. I signed two contracts and I sent them out. I said yes to both of them, but I just promoters love calling me because they know they'll get a yes from me. But my dad, that's why I need people who are smarter than me and care enough about me to intervene and be like, no, this is the smarter thing to do. We got to go with this one. But I'm staying active. I'm fighting about once a month. So we're
I guess what I'm wondering too are guys that are offering you fights are they aware that your weight class is still kind of fluid and that you're still figuring that out to some extent?
well, they're just asking me like, oh, will you take? I just say yes. They're like, can you make 140? Yep. Can you make 145? Yes, I can. Can you make 130? I'll certainly try. Like they don't really know. They're just hearing yes from me, and but a couple of them know me now, and they know the situation, like that I was real big, and I kind of just still picky and choose, or still learning where my weight class is gonna end.
That's
Everybody like eyeballing me gives me a guess that it's gonna be somewhere between 126 and 130. My hair can definitely make 128, so that's kind of what I'm judging it off of.
so when before I know you because you said you gained a lot of weight at some point when you were younger, when you were a teenager or whatever. Were you a big kid also, or were you slim the way you are now?
No, I was like one of those like malnourished kids, like just always outside, and but I was always kind of a porker, you know. I was always a little pudgy, and just I guess when puberty like took over or whatever you would call it, I guess started getting fatter. But I mean, I wasn't as fit as I was, but I would there would be times where I would like exercise a little bit and not be as fat, and then I'd a couple months later I'd be fat again.
Did you follow boxing before you got involved in boxing, or did you ever just
Yes, yes. Me and my dad used to always watch boxing fights. I was always a fan of boxing. I just never really, did it. I would always watch as far back as I can remember. I would watch fights
do you still
with my
follow
dad.
boxing?
How's that?
You still follow?
Yeah, I still watch it. Oh yeah, definitely.
You got a couple minutes? I was gonna ask some questions, some around the world of boxing questions.
Okay, yeah.
So the first one I was going to ask you about is this weekend we have Mark Magsayo and Brandon Figueroa. Do you have any thoughts on that matchup? Because I know it's kind of in the general
Oh,
region.
I love Mark Magansayo, dude. The thing is, the thing is with Mark Magansayo, I don't I like him, but his fight with Gary Russell kind of like his last fight with Gary Russell kind of changed my like opinion. I don't want to say changed my opinion on it, but changed my like does he have it in him to step on the gas and someone it's like kind of something you need to do with somebody like because Gary Russell only had one hand and he's good, but he made it all the way to the end, with one hand.
Well,
So
and
maybe it kind of just.
also in Magsayo's fight, he's actually had one fight since then, and he lost to Ray Vargas.
Oh, I didn't even know he fought again.
Yeah, he lost the decision to Ray Vargas. That was his last fight.
Yeah, see that's the thing. That whole does he have it in him to step on it when he needs to? He's I didn't even know about that decision, but apparently maybe he doesn't, or maybe that's somewhere he needs to work on, being able to just really get these guys out of there when or get really step on it when he needs to, when it counts. When you got a guy in front of you that only has one arm, you really gotta maybe dig down and try to get him out of there, or try to get the
Well, and
try to get some kind of.
I remember early in the Gary Russell fight, he came out and he was timing him real nice. He was throwing like that overhand left. I think he's a southpaw, but he was throwing overhand
Oh,
shots.
he was landing though. He was landing on Gary Russell.
He was doing some shit that was making him uncomfortable. And then at some point, they got into like this cruise control thing where Russell was just kind of circling the ring and throwing his
Yeah,
jab.
he was getting that southpaw angle, and and maybe it's because that was his only move, but he kept on getting it. You know.
And the thing is, you said, like, does he have the ability to step on the gas? And Brandon Figueroa is all gas. That's all he does is
Yeah, that's especially with somebody like Figueroa, you really gonna need to be able to you're gonna have to be able to give something back. You can box him for as long as you can box him, but you at some point in time you're gonna have to give something back.
I just feel like with Figueroa's pace, unless Max Sio can catch him and get his respect, it's just going to be like too much volume for him to deal with.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would that's exactly what I think too.
It's a good matchup though. We need more of those kinds of matchups where it's just like two legit contenders in the top 10.
Yeah, but I mean Morgan Style is good though. He's real good.
They announced this week Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia for April 22nd.
Oh yeah, dude, that fight's gonna make so much money. That
Yeah,
was-
bro. It's about time they've been like sitting on an uncashed check, like because we all know that everyone wants to see that fight.
Dude, and you got every walker. You got YouTubers, TikTokers, boxing fans. People from dude. You got every like walk of life that's looking for that kind of because of Ryan Garcia. He's got a real big following on YouTube and it's dude. So that fight's gonna be so much money. I think Tank's gonna win it though.
I just feel like the stylistically Ryan keeps his chin up in the air a little bit when he throws. Luke Campbell caught him. I just think Tank is like a really smart boxer and he's gonna find that opening, and I don't know that
I actually like Ryan Garcia though. I don't have like I know a lot of people like, oh, I hate that guy. I actually like
I'm a
that guy.
fan.
The guy seems legit, but I just don't think I don't think he's got what it takes to beat Tank though.
Nah,
I don't think he's got it to beat Tank.
Tank's one of the best punchers, and he's also a very, very smart boxer. I'm just glad they're actually going to do the fight, and they're both in their prime, young guys. It's one of like at least as far as name value, it's one of the best matchups in boxing. This was also in your weight class, so I wanted to ask you about it. But they announced Josh Taylor versus Teofimo Lopez for June 10th.
I think Josh Taylor versus Tiafimo. That's a good one. Oh man.
It's just tricky because we haven't seen Taylor since the Catterall fight. A lot of people felt like he lost that fight. I felt like he lost that fight. It was close, but we haven't seen what he's got left. And obviously, Tio has been having some issues his last couple of fights.
Yeah,
So
that's exactly what I was thinking too. They both kind of just been going through it. I don't know. I feel like it would be a good fight, but Tiafimo would probably be the one to take it. There would be a decision, and Tiafimo would be the one to. That's what I think.
it's a high stakes fight too because they're both two guys that are at the top that also because of what's happened with them recently, neither of them can really afford to lose a fight. It kind of puts them
Yeah,
out of the
yeah. It's
conversation.
it's one of those high risk, low reward kind of. Well, maybe high risk, high reward kind of situation, but it's definitely it's definitely going to set one of them sky catapulting in the right direction.
I just wonder how Tio is going to handle the pressure from Taylor because Taylor is big, tall guy, and he's a good pressure fighter for somebody.
Tiafimo could box. He just didn't box when he fought Gambosis. He can box, but he didn't.
What did you think of Tio's performance against Martin? Did you feel like he won that fight?
No. I don't think he won that one. Dude, they robbed that's the second time that he fought somebody else before and they robbed him real good. I watched another one of his fights too, Martinez. I can't remember who it was, but dude, they do that guy gets screwed over real good.
It was a rough decision. It was a close fight, but I think people just felt like Martin kind of dictated the tempo and was able.
It was close. It could have gone either way, but I would if I was judging, I would have gave it to I wouldn't have gave it to Teal.
I think that is part of what makes Lopez and Taylor interesting is that they are two guys that desperately need a win, and they're doing it against dangerous opponents with each other.
Yeah, two guys with everything to lose. Two guys with nothing to lose.
I feel like I have to ask you about this because I'm a boxing outlet and you're a fighter. Do you have any thoughts on what happened with Jake Paul and Tommy Fury this weekend?
Oh man, dude, that was the worst. I can't. I watched it live. I thought that was the worst. It was just
I almost feel bad asking you about it, but it happened this week and I'm a boxing channel, so I feel like I got to bring it up.
dude, you got to do what you got to do, dude. That was like the worst fight I've ever seen in the history of my life, dude. I could have went to the corner store and watched two guys fight over a fucking what street they're from, as opposed to dude. That was a horrible fight.
It was really funny
I
because I
think I think
watched
Tommy
the
won it though. I think Tommy Fury can't take a punch to save his life, and I think Jake Paul. Dude, I actually think he could be good. I think they both could be good, but it doesn't look like Tommy can take a punch very well.
It was just like Tommy is clearly like the professional fighter, but he has these big flaws. Like you said, I don't think he's got a great chin. He didn't really maintain his distance. And then Jake just like this basic boxing shit that he doesn't seem to understand. Like he doesn't know how to deal with a jab. Neither of them have any idea what to do when you get on the inside. Like if you get close, all they know how to do is wrap up, which was funny. I was gonna bring that up to you because I watched the replay of that. I didn't fucking buy that shit. I watched the replay today. And then I was watching your fight and I was watching how you shift and use angles on the inside and you create angles. I was like, these two guys don't fucking know anything about this.
Yeah, no, dude, they were just I think they were just more tired than anything.
Yeah, bro, like by the fourth round, they were both crapped out. And when they would get close, like,
They were both done. Hey, an 8 round fight is a long time though, especially dude, you gotta be hungry to train and both of those guys, on the spoon, they both got money, dude. They don't I don't want to say they don't got the fire in their belly to make them a fighter, but they definitely don't got it in them to train like they need to be fighting 8 round fights. Train like a dog. Neither one of them could have done anything. I think neither one of them could have won a ninth round. And even the rest of the rounds, they weren't good rounds. Like there wasn't any rounds that were good rounds. They were just coasting. They were both just so tired the whole time.
it felt like they were both just trying to get through it. Honestly.
Yeah, dude. Like no, yeah, dude. Exactly. They were both so freaking. They were both so just gassed. They didn't do, obviously, didn't do no training, but I think that has to do with they both have similar backgrounds. They both got a lot of money, both TV stars of some kind.
They created fame outside of boxing and then brought that following to boxing. They didn't really build a
Definitely,
following from
they have no
boxing.
like hunger in them about it.
They might have hunger, but I don't know if they have like that dog in them. That thing that's like, if I don't win this fight, my life is going to be different. They don't have the stake
Yeah,
in
there
their
you
life
go.
that
That's a better way of saying it. They got it in them because they're fighters. Obviously, it takes a lot to get in the ring. But I think you hit it right on the nose. I don't got that dog in them.
I mean, bro, you're out in the fucking wet grass hitting a bag that's hanging from an avocado tree. You think fucking Jake
Dude,
Paul?
the mud, dude. We don't got no grass, dude. We
What I'm
got
saying.
mud.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I just don't feel like the terms are that for those guys. Like, there's guys that like Chris Algieri that had, grew up in a nicer upbringing, but he still has that
Yeah,
dog.
Chris Algieri's got that dog in him though.
That's what I'm
He's
saying. He absolutely has that dog, and he showed it in his career. I just don't feel like these two guys have it.
yeah. Maybe it doesn't have anything to do with their upbringing. Maybe it's just they just don't have it. Probably close.
I think it somewhat has to do with their upbringing, and it has to do with being extremely wealthy before you come to boxing, and not building that wealth through boxing. You know, like even Floyd, by the time he got wealthy, it was like he had won all these big fights because he has that dog naturally inside of him.
Yeah, he's still, and anyone who says anything about him, they'll say he still trains like he's poor.
Right, right. Yeah, it's a weird time in boxing where it's like, there was a meaningful fight. You got Badu Jack and Makabu on the undercard.
Oh yeah, Body Jack fought yesterday. That was a good
And
fight.
but it's just weird to me that the headliner is this like celebrity fight that, yeah, they're boxers, but as far as boxing, they're probably the least skilled of the guys on that card.
Yeah, they started doing that with the brother too with the KSI, or is that the one? Is he going to fight KSI?
Yeah, yeah, Logan Paul.
Dude, they do that with all of his fights, and I was kind of like, this 4 round fight's going after I think it was like a 12 round fight for a WBC belt on the undercard or something like that.
It's a weird set of priorities.
But hey, they're the ones making the money, so I guess you just go where the money to do what the money says, right?
So do you have any sense of when you'll be in the ring next, or when the next time is the fans will get to see you?
Yeah, April. I'm gonna try to be in there for April. April. April or May. I should be going to your neck of the woods. Actually, I got offered a fight on the Edgar Berlanga card, but I mean, I got offered a spot for something that's like, or maybe I'm not supposed to say that. I don't know. Well, I got offered a spot for Edgar Berlanga undercard in New York, actually,
Well, shit, bro. Hopefully, I see
and
you there.
I got offered a spot there. Everything's super up in the air, but they gave me a pretty much like, if for sure if it's happening, you got a spot. So that's gonna be something I'm aiming for, like summertime, June, July. But I'm still gonna be working up until then, some more local shows or something.
Well, Mikey, I really appreciate your time. I think you have a really interesting, inspiring story. Is there anybody,
Thank you,
anything,
bro.
anybody you want to shout out before we wrap this one up?
Oh yeah, my dad and Benjamin from Benjamin Boxing here in San Ramon, and my dad Junior Gilbert, and all my buddies, my training partners, and everybody. Bull Gang. That's the gym where I'm from, Bull Gang, and that's probably it. To everybody.
Well, keep it up, my guy. It's a great story. I look forward to seeing you fight again, and appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me, dude.
All right, brother, man. We'll talk soon.
All
Great
right,
to meet
see ya.
you.